Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wonder if there is something special about people who are deeply fascinated by the night sky? This study dives into that very question. So, what exactly is this Noctcaelador thing? Think of it as a deep psychological connection to the night sky. It is not just about stargazing. It is about a genuine attachment to the stars, the moon, and the vast darkness above. Previous research hinted that people who felt this strong connection might be a little different psychologically. One study found they had more hypomanic tendencies and less depression and defensiveness. But here is the catch. That study used a test designed for people with mental health issues, which might not fully apply to everyday students. This new study wanted to see if those earlier findings held up using a tool meant for regular university students. And they also wanted to make sure they weren't just seeing results because of personality traits like being open to new experiences. They gathered 135 undergraduate students, and the majority of them were women. They used a few questionnaires. First, a short version to measure their Noctcaelador, that psychological attachment to the night sky. Then they used something called the Osberg Multidimensional Personality Instrument, or AMPI, which is designed to measure different types of psychological processes that can sometimes be a bit difficult for people, but not in a full-blown clinical way. Think of it as measuring tendencies that can sometimes cause problems in life. Finally, they measured openness to experience, which is a personality trait about how curious and imaginative someone is. Now, let's get to the juicy part, the results. When they looked at the initial connections, they found that people with higher Noctcaelador scores also tended to score higher on some of the AMPI scales. Specifically, they were linked to what the study calls hypomanic processes, which are basically high energy levels and rapid thinking, and also schizotypic processes, which involve unusual perceptual experiences and thoughts. They also found a connection with the AMPI feminine interest scale, which is about valuing feelings, relationships, and aesthetics. But here is where it gets really interesting. The researchers controlled for two things: gender and that openness to experience trait. After they accounted for those factors, some of the connections disappeared, but others became even clearer. The link with paranoia, for example, faded away, suggesting that maybe gender played a bigger role there than a direct connection to the night sky. The most significant findings were that even after considering gender and openness, Noctcaelador remains strongly linked to hypomanic and schizotypal processes. This is a pretty big deal. It suggests that people who feel a deep connection to the night sky might naturally have a tendency towards high energy, quick thinking, and are more open to experiencing things that are a bit out of the ordinary or unusual. The researchers also looked at the feminine interest scale. They hypothesized that this connection would disappear when controlling for openness. But that wasn't quite what happened. Instead, the link to feminine interests actually strengthened after controlling for gender. They suggest this might be because some men might downplay their appreciation for feelings and aesthetics due to societal expectations. And by controlling for gender, the scale could better reflect this valuing of emotional expressivity, which is something linked to Noctcaelador. What is really fascinating is how they interpret these findings. They propose that hypomania and schizotypy might share some underlying psychological mechanisms, like having a more permeable psychic structure, which means mental boundaries are a bit thinner. This allows for both rapid, diverse thoughts and unusual perceptions. This idea fits well with the concept of Noctcaelador, as a porous mind might be more open to the wonder and complexity of the night sky. The study did have some limitations, which is normal for research. The sample was mostly female university students, so it might not apply to everyone. The questionnaires were also pretty short, which means they might not capture all the nuances of the psychological processes they were measuring. And because it was a snapshot in time, they can't say for sure if being fascinated by the night sky causes these traits, or if these traits just make someone more drawn to the night sky. So, what does this all mean for us? It suggests that a deep interest in the night sky might be connected to certain psychological tendencies, like high energy, and a unique way of experiencing the world. It doesn't mean people who love the stars are maladjusted, but rather that their way of engaging with the world, particularly with the vastness of the night sky, might be linked to a particular psychological makeup. It opens up questions about how we connect with nature, how our minds work, and whether there's a special kind of person who feels that profound pull towards the cosmos. It makes you wonder if your own fascination with the night sky says something about your inner world. Maybe it's a sign of a creative and energetic mind. More research is definitely needed to explore these connections further, maybe with longer-term studies or by looking at different groups of people. What do you think about these findings? Are you someone who loves looking up at the stars? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the psychology of stargazing, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to Rubin's Mind Lab for more explorations into the human mind, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Until next time, keep your curiosity shining bright.